Hello and welcome back to Above and Beyond CDL Driving Academy's Permit Prep course. Today we're going to focus on the cargo section, which would be section 3 of the Minnesota CDL manual. As I've said before, all of these manuals on all 50 states should be following the same exact AMVA model. So even though this is Minnesota, it will be very similar to what another state would offer. My name is Brian Hudson. My contact information is on the screen. Please don't hesitate to call or reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Here at Above and Beyond, we do Class A and Class B training in both manual and automatic for a Class A truck, and Class B trucks are automatic only. We do offer customized training for those that have had a CDL in the past but have let it lapse, or for businesses for their commercial driving trainer needs. We also offer hazardous material endorsement training, so you can add the hazmat endorsement to your CDL. Do not pay for a CDL manual online when you can get it for free from the state government. Whether it's the Department of Public Safety or Department of Transportation, just type in your search bar CDL manual in whatever state you live in, and it should take you to a government website where you can download your CDL manual for free, and we'll study sections 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 for the CDL Class A. If you're doing a Class B, you do not have to do section 6. All right, starting on transporting cargo safely. Some definitions that you need to know are GVWR is going to be your gross vehicle weight rating. GCWR is going to be your gross combination weight rating. Both of those are going to be what the manufacturer says the maximum you can have on your vehicle. That is what they rate as far as if you need a Class A, B, or C license. The gross combination weight is the actual weight of both the tractor and the trailer, or the gross vehicle weight is going to be the actual weight of just one vehicle. The axle weight is going to be what the axle is actually holding on it, not what it is rated for. The tire load is going to be the safe weight that the tire can actually hold. You're going to find that as you have different loads on your trailer, you don't need to have so much PSI in each tire if you have less of a load. Suspension systems are going to be what the manufacturer's weight capacity rating is, and the coupling device capacity is going to be the maximum pulling weight. Best thing I can give you an idea on that is if you have a receiver hitch on your pickup truck or on your car, go look at it, and there's usually a plate on there that tells you what the maximum pulling weight is or what the maximum weight allowed is. As drivers, we are responsible for checking our cargo. We have to inspect the cargo to make sure it is properly loaded and secured. We also have to recognize that when our trucks are overloaded or when they're unbalanced so that we are driving down the roadway safe, we have to make sure that our cargo is secured properly, and we also have to make sure that our cargo does not restrict access to emergency equipment. So you cannot have your fire extinguisher in the very front of your cargo box with a bunch of cargo behind it. You have to be able to access that emergency equipment without having to move any of your cargo. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. So the driver is responsible for the overloading of the vehicle. So typically, right on the page here is a rule of thumb: 34,000 on the tandem on the trailer, 34,000 for the drive axles, for the tandem drive axles, and then 12,000 pounds for the steer axles. Now, with today's trucks with the diesel particulate filters on them, we're finding that those drive axles sometimes are actually rated for 14,000 pounds, or the tire, but yet they're still only putting 12,000 pounds on the tire. So you're finding that you're overweighting your tire because the diesel particulate filters have added some weight onto the front of our trucks. So that's why they've increased the axle capacity. So you have to make sure that you put the proper tires on there so that you're maximizing that weight capacity on that tire. We are responsible for stopping to check the cargo within the first 50 miles, and then we're responsible for checking at every stop or every 3 hours or 150 miles, whichever comes first. So if you stop to go to the bathroom, you stop to make a delivery, you are responsible for ensuring that your cargo is still secure. We have to keep all of our weight within the legal weight limits. One time that the legal weight limits may not be the safest for us is going to be in bad weather. Another time that it may not be safe for us is going to be when we're driving in the mountains. Sometimes we'll want to go a little bit lighter because we're going to be experiencing some bad weather conditions. We live in a state where as the ground starts to thaw, they'll put on restrictions on the road. Yesterday, you may have been able to drive a completely fully loaded semi at 80,000 pounds on County Road B heading west. Well, now there may be a restriction on there saying that you can only have 7 tons per axle. So that's going to be each individual axle. That's not a group of tandem axles. So then as we go across these bridges, we're going to, that may be only rated for say 20 tons, because only part of our truck is going to be on that bridge deck. Technically, we may still be able to cross that bridge deck with by following the bridge formula, because only part of our weight's going to be on that bridge deck while the other part is still on the roadway. Then as we pass over that bridge, the trailer may end up on the bridge deck and the rest of our tractor may be off of the bridge deck. So we use what's called a bridge formula, which will permit less weight if the axles are closer together, so that we're not centering all that weight under one in one spot on that bridge deck. We can spread it out farther on that bridge deck so we can carry heavier weights across that bridge deck. And we also got to make sure that we're not overloading our truck, that we're not outside of the legal specs for our truck. We also got to make sure that we're not loading our trucks so that they're top heavy. We want to keep that weight lowest to the ground as possible so that we have less of a risk of tipping our trucks over. So we want to make sure that we're balancing it also forward to backwards so that we're leaving the proper amount of weight on our steer axle so we have better traction, we have better grip. Or if we put it too far back, we could end up where we're lifting weight off the drive axles, we're not creating enough friction with the ground so we have the appropriate amount of steering. Or if we put it too far forward, it may actually put too much weight on our tires and damage our tires or damage our steering components as well. Remember now, as I said multiple times, poorly balanced loads will make your vehicle unsafe. It makes it hard to steer or ineffective steering. It can damage axles and tires, and it can cause poor traction. We are responsible as drivers for securing our load so it cannot move while we're driving down the road. It cannot shift. One of the ways we do this is by bracing, where we stick something in between the cargo, inflate it, a paper bag like they show in that example right there, and then we're bracing that cargo up against the side of the trailer. We also do what's called blocking, where there's actually a piece of material that's made to block that load in our trailer so it cannot move forward or backward or side to side. This is a good example on the screen right here. Or if you take a piece of wood, nail it into the ground and block in your cargo that way as well. Another way that we secure our cargo is by using tie downs, but we have to make sure that the load limit of those tie downs is 1.5 times the weight of the cargo. We should have one in the front, one in the back, and then also one for each 10 feet of cargo. So say that we have a 40-foot load, we should have one in the front, one in the back, one at 10 feet, one at 20 feet, and one at 30 feet. So we'd have to have 5 tie downs to make sure that that is a legally secured load. Remember, no matter what, we always have to have a minimum of 2, one in the front and one in the back. Sometimes we have to cover our cargo with a tarp to protect it from the weather, or we got to protect it from spillage, because it doesn't do us any good to lose half of our load as we drive down the road because it falls off. Think of like a dump truck, should have some sort of a cargo covering over it so that it doesn't blow all that rocks off through the back and damage other vehicles. But we also got to worry about weather too. There's sometimes we're going to be hauling heavy equipment that may need to be covered to protect it from the rain. Some things that need special attention are going to be uh, sealed and containerized loads. Basically, they ship them across seas on giant ships. Then we go with what's called a chassis, and we load uh, that container on top of that chassis. We have to make sure that we secure that down properly so that it doesn't fall off of the chassis while we're driving down the road. And we also got to make sure that we check to make sure that our axle weight limits are within the guidelines. Even if we can't open up that cargo to inspect it. We don't have to check to make sure it's secured properly within the container, but we do have to make sure it's properly attached and it is properly falling within the weight limits. If it doesn't fall within the weight limits, then we have to refuse that cargo. We also got to be concerned about dry or bulk hanging meat or livestock. That's going to naturally be shifting. Livestock is going to be moving constantly, so we have to be on our best behavior to make sure that that does not shift so much that it's going to cause us lose control of our trucks. The hanging meat is going to have generally a higher center of gravity, and it's going to sway a lot as we drive. So we got to make sure that we slow down with extra care around these curves and these turns to make sure that it doesn't swing so much that it knocks us off of our balance. We also got to, if we're hauling oversized loads, we may be able to break certain rules on our roadways, but we always have to ask for special permission. We always got to pay the man to be able to drive our trucks on the road. So we do have to get specialized permits if we're going to be overweight or if we're going to be over length or oversized. We may actually be limited on the times that we can drive or even on the routes that we can drive. Obviously, they don't want a slow moving oversized truck that takes up 3 lanes during rush hour traffic, slowing down traffic even more. And we may end up using specialized equipment. A lot of times the oversized trucks, oversized load vehicles are going to be souped up behemoths of trucks. They're going to have extra horsepower. They may even have a second tractor hooked up behind it as a pushing unit. So the first unit will do the pulling and the turning. The second unit will do the pushing to help it make it up the hill.